Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about fluids.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan and this is our dealership NG Supercars, and we had a question, or a comment I should say, posted on our video saying, hey, you guys should do a video explaining what fluids that you use on your Ferraris. And I thought, actually, that's kind of interesting. So I gathered up pretty much most of the fluids. Admittedly, I don't have all of them because we're actually out of a few of the fluids right now. But I'm going to go through and show you the different fluids we use, and this is just what we use. Doesn't mean this is what you have to use, but this is just what we use mostly. And I'll tell you what they're used for, and, well, yeah, some are kind of hard to source, but we'll talk about that in a second. But do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate that. Hit that notification bell. All those things help out our channel. And, of course, you can support us by going to normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy parts and services. And you can go to ngsupercars.com, our dealership website. So all those things do help us out. Thank you very much for all of you that have been helping us over all these years. Okay, so we're just going to work right on down the line and show you these fluids. Starting off with coolant. All right, yes, we generally buy Xerox. That is our preferred brand. And I guess the thing is about the different coolants is it depends on which Ferrari you have. So it is different based on how new or old it is mostly. So for the most part, most of them take the G48, the blue stuff. A few of them take the G40, and I think G05 is also acceptable in some of them. So this is probably the most common. I think this is like for most of the older ones, you know, 430s, 360s, and so on. And this is for more of the like 458s and newer. But again, verify which one you're using for which car. Honestly, I look it up every time just to be absolutely sure. Now, the nice thing is this stuff's got a 5-year guarantee for 150,000 miles. That's the problem, though, is the time, 5 years. So, you know, I mean, you should be changing the coolant probably every 5 years or less. If you've got a car that does major services, you're going to be doing it like, you know, a traditional timing belt service. You're probably going to be doing the fluid change and doing coolant when you do a major anyway. So that makes sense. Moving on to oil. Okay, so we've got, well, okay, this is what Ferrari actually says. You're supposed to use, see, right there. It's got the Ferrari logo right on it. Shell Helix Ultra 5W40. Now, if you're in anywhere other than the United States, you can probably find this stuff. If you're in the United States, good luck. This stuff is basically unobtainium. So the next best thing is Pennzoil Platinum Euro fully synthetic 5W40. Now, this stuff used to have a little Ferrari sticker on it, but they stopped doing that. But that is effectively the same stuff because Shell owns Pennzoil, so this is this, just in America. So that is as good as Shell Helix Ultra, good enough for us. This is what we use. Funny story about this stuff. You know what? The best place to get it is Amazon. I'm not kidding. We've tried finding it everywhere, and that's the cheapest we can find it. Yeah, so dumb. Okay, so Redline Synthetic 7590 NS. That NS is important. This is what we use in the Ferrari F1 gearboxes and the manual transmissions, which are the same thing. So the older transmissions. This is not what we use for the DCT gearbox. So for the DCT gearboxes, we use the regular 7590, no NS. There you go. It would look like that. That's for F1 and manual. That's for DCT. Got it? Good. Yeah. 7590 is pretty much standard across the board for almost all the gearboxes in the Ferrari lineup as far as I can remember. Oh, going back real quick, I forgot something with the oil. Something I need to clarify. This, the 5W40, is for the V8 engines. The V12s mostly use 10W60, I think. And it's, I think for that, we actually did find Helix Ultra, or we've also used Liquid Moly 10W60. That stuff's really hard to find, by the way. 10W60 is not a super common weight oil. Actually, the 5W40 isn't either. And I want to actually mention something about this. Like, this is what we use. I'm pretty sure, like, if you did Mobil 1 5W40, it's probably fine. Like, as long as it's 5W40 and it's fully synthetic, it's probably acceptable. I would just say Ferrari specifically says that this is what they want, so we like to use what they say just because then I don't know. Their engineers probably talked to their engineers, and the two engineers said, hey, that's what we should use. And so someone said, that's right. Something like that. Okay, moving on. Okay, for brake fluid, well, it depends on how new or old your car is. Most of the older stuff takes the .4. We are big fans of the Motil 600 and the Motil 660. So depending if someone really wants to pay the extra money for the 660, because that stuff gets pretty expensive, we buy a lot of the 600. And then if you have one of the new cars, I think starting with the 488s, you actually are supposed to use the .5.1. So just make sure on the brake fluid cap it will say if it can take .4 or .5.1. I would honestly say if you're not going to be putting your car on the track, any synthetic .4 is probably totally fine. I would not use non-synthetic just because, I mean, it's a Ferrari. Let's just use good stuff. Let's not cheap out on shit. You don't have to use the Motil. There's other brake fluid brands that are completely acceptable. Now, okay, you're thinking, wait a minute, this is automatic transmission fluid. Where the hell are you putting automatic transmission fluid? This is the F1 fluid. Either one of these, the liquid moly or the Valvoline, both of these will work just fine in the F1 system for all these cars. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, it's even the same shit that you use in the power steering. So, yeah, dual purpose. This is going to be a lot easier to find. You can find this at, like, you know, O'Reilly's or whatever. This is going to be a little bit more challenging to find, but I think it's maybe slightly better than the Valvoline, but honestly, this stuff's pretty good too. The nice thing is that it's really cheap stuff, and hopefully you're not having to use it very often unless you're actually like flushing the F1 system. Now, one of the things that we get asked a lot about is taking care of sticky buttons, and we've shown videos on how to do that many times, and this right here is what we like the most. Borax. Seriously. Borax for like your laundry detergent, cleaning clothes or toilets or whatever. That. You create a slurry of borax and water, warm water, and you rub it on the sticky parts, and then you make a bath of warm water and borax, and you rub all the parts, and the sticky shit just falls right off. It's a miracle. It's amazing. You want to wear gloves when doing this because it will stain your hands with black shit. And actually, I should probably inject this over here and move that over here because we also use isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, high concentration, and this is the other thing that we use to clean up sticky buttons. And this is more like if we can't get a button out or it's maybe just barely starting to get sticky, and we're not going to do like a really thorough, deep, sticky clean. For example, if you saw the video where I talked about the brand new Ferrari part that came from Ferrari Sticky, it was just barely sticky. It was just starting to get sticky, so that was good enough. I didn't need to do the borax on it. So borax is like hardcore, really bad stickies. This works for like mild stickies, you know, stuff that's just kind of barely getting sticky. These are more of things that are just good to have, I'm going to say. So PB Blaster, if you're trying to break bolts loose, we're big fans of this stuff. Brake clean, honestly, I don't really care what brand, although Randy says that this stuff doesn't work as good as the other stuff that we usually get. I know that there's the non-chlorinated and the chlorinated. I mean, honestly, do you really want cancer? Get the non-chlorinated. This right here, the high strength 3M spray adhesive, is what we use when we're doing headliners and other leather stuff. So this is really good stuff right here. Don't breathe it too much. This actually should go with these. This trim black matte stuff is when we do sticky buttons and we want to refinish them. This is one of the sprays that we use. There's actually some other sprays we use. I don't want to give away all of our trade secrets, but this is one of them. I'm not telling you other ones, so too bad. Throttle body and air intake cleaner, good to have around. Clean out your throttle body every once in a while. Electronics cleaner, you know, contact cleaner if you have crap that gets in there. Sometimes this shit can actually fix if you have a variator solenoid that's got bad oil in there and you clean them out. This sometimes can help that. Having some MAF cleaner, good idea to clean your MAFs maybe once in a while, sometimes, yeah, whatever. Right here, this we use all the time. It's Thread Bond 1211. You can see I have some sitting there on the gasket. Yep, we use that for like valve cover gaskets. We also use it on the side of the transmission for the shift actuator box. Great stuff. Sometimes we also use Yamabond right here. So yay, Yamabond. But I think I kind of like this stuff more because Ferrari uses white crap generally. So we like to have it look as factory as possible. Even though I think maybe the Yamabond might actually be better sometimes, but it's gray and so it doesn't look Ferrari factory, so we use the 1211. This stuff's actually, we only use it on a few very specific instances, but it's really cool stuff. Permatex high-tack gasket seal. We use this on the coolant gaskets on a Ferrari 360 when we're doing the heat exchanger. So pretty cool stuff. It makes it so that the gasket, like paper gaskets, will like kind of glue into place when you're trying to line stuff. Really helpful. Loctite, you got to have some Loctite, both the blue and red. Great stuff to have around. White lithium grease. You need some of this when you have squeaky parts that you don't want to squeak. And you want to lubricate some stuff like springs. Great crap. Dielectric grease. Okay. Yep. This right here. We use a lot of this shit. JB Weld Plastic Bond. And it is good for fixing like 430 tail lights and other plastic parts that crumble apart. Good old Ferrari bullshit plastic. Then you need to fix it. Right here. This is good stuff. Now I put this bottle here as a placeholder to remind myself we're actually out of the DCT fluid. So at the moment I was trying to find it in our cabinet and we don't have any. So we buy Motil DCTF for DCT fluid. So that is not the gearbox oil, that is the DCT fluid, which is different than the gearbox oil. So on a DCT transmission you have DCT fluid and you have gearbox oil. It's kind of the equivalent of F1 fluid in an F1 transmission. So the DCT fluid, we use Motil DTCF DCT fluid. Don't put in the gearbox oil, it'd be bad, very bad. So it's a hydraulic fluid, it's shockingly expensive crap and they take a lot of it. So just so you know. Moly coat we've used on a few things like ball joints, and Lucas red and tacky grease we've used on CV axles. That's kind of about it. But if you buy the CV axle repair kit, it actually already has grease in there for you. So you don't have to do that stuff. But packing ball joints with this manually is not fun. This is not my favorite job. Not a huge fan of that, but we do have to do that once in a while. Okay, I know I didn't cover some fluids. I don't know, whatever. That's the most part, the fluids that we use. So a lot of, I guess not a lot, but we got one person who asked about it. So there you go, that one person. This video is just for you. Hopefully other people find it interesting too, but there you go. Now, as far as where to get it, someone we get from dealer, wholesale, whatever suppliers, so we can get them at reduced prices. Someone we just get like at O'Reilly's. It just kind of depends. And again, like I said, the Pennzoil we literally buy on Amazon right now. We're trying to find it in bulk, but it's so hard to find. If any of you know where we can get a 55-gallon drum of this stuff, of the Pennzoil Euro Platinum or Platinum Euro 5W40, that's not going to cost us crazy amounts of money. That's the problem, is it costs like 25 to 50% more for a drum of that stuff than it does to just buy the 1-quart bottles in a 6-pack on Amazon. I don't get it. Pain in the ass. But anyway, that's some of the stuff. We have a lot more stuff, but we don't use the other stuff as often. This stuff gets used pretty regularly around here. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you guys found it interesting. If you did, again, give us a little share, like, subscribe, any of those things. Check out our website, normalguysupercar.com and NG Supercars. And that's it for this video. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be doing a lot of cool car stuff. You want to stay tuned? It's going to be sweet.